I think a lot of people spend more time planning their vacation than they do their life.
Welcome back to the Sunshine Café, where we pour positive back into the world and elevate how you lead life with encouraging and faith-aligned conversations. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Sunshine Café. I'm Lisa Roers, your host, and today we're going to talk about vision boards and why getting intentional about your life might be one of the most important things you do this year. Let me restate that quote we just heard. Most people spend more time planning their vacations than they do planning their life. When my sweet friend Stephanie Richardson said that in a conversation we had recently, it really resonated with me. I thought, ouch. And yeah, so true. Now, I am a planner. I love to plan. And part of the reason I love to plan is I love to anticipate all the things that my family and I might do when we go on a trip or go somewhere fun or just have an adventure with a whole lot of flexibility for changing our mind along the way. But you know how that planning process goes, right? You can get so sucked into that vortex of all things planning and dreaming. I mean, I can lose hours comparing hotels or hotel rooms, researching what restaurants to go to and which reviews are best and what kinds of things on the menu are really good and mapping out the routes. And let's not forget that whole crowd calculator to determine just how many people are going to be at the water park or at the beaches that day that I'm in that particular town. Because who wouldn't want to go to those places with fewer crowds, right? So yes, I can spend hours building our whole itinerary down to what I will wear each and every day, how many extra pairs of shoes I need to bring, or Band-Aids for the sore feet or blisters that may surface. I need to be prepared, right? But what about planning our lives? Now that's a different story, and maybe you can completely relate. Because as much of a planner as I am, and I love to be, I think my skills tend to fall into the short-term planning category. At the beginning of this year, for example, I had a handful of goals that I wanted to do. I wanted to sell my father's house, of course, lose some weight. That seems to always be on the wish list of New Year's goals. Improve my health markers, keep pouring meaningful content into this podcast, and hopefully build enough momentum to eventually have this podcast and my course make enough money to sustain itself, or at least, cover all the costs of the subscriptions that I need to keep it running. Some of these goals are complete. I have finished them. I feel great about them. And some of those goals are still very much in progress. But I had a realization recently. All of the things on my list were goals, but they weren't really a part of creating a vision for my life. They were mostly about trying to resolve a problem. I had this property that used to belong to my dad, and I had to move it on to the next awesome owners. I had to stop and ask myself, am I really trying to just fix problems? Or do I want to build a life that I feel really great about, that I'm intentionally making choices for, that bring me to a place I want to be? There's a phrase that we used to muse about in the corporate world that, we get so busy climbing the corporate ladder that sometimes you notice by the time you get to the top that your ladder is leaning against the wrong wall. Well, this is kind of along the same lines of that, except when it comes to life in general. Because if I am only focusing on a couple of goals at a time, I might win in a couple of areas of my life, but I could quietly end up losing track of some significant things in another area of my life. So in that moment when I was walking through this exercise of planning, I remembered a sweet conversation I had with a brilliant business and life coach. Her name is Stephanie Richardson. And in that conversation, she shared a really beautiful framework on how to create a vision board for our life. And it has been so very helpful to intentionally focus and to anticipate my plan, not in a rigid way, not in an inflexible way, but in an intentional way. So I know that I'm moving towards something I'm excited about going to, like choosing a destination that I can't wait to get to. But obviously, I can plan my course, but Proverbs 16:9 tells me the Lord establishes the steps. So I can make a great plan, but the Lord, of course, is who blesses that plan and makes that come to fruition or not. But Proverbs 21:5 says, good planning and hard work lead to prosperity, but hasty shortcuts lead to poverty. So today, we're going to avoid hasty shortcuts, and instead, we're going to talk about vision boards and why getting intentional about your life might be one of the most important things you do this year. And in just a moment, I'm going to share a little bit of this conversation that I had with Stephanie. As you listen, I would like you to listen for 3 things. First, listen for why getting clarity really matters more than we realize. Second, listen for how succeeding in one area of life does not automatically mean we're going to succeed and thrive in all areas of our life. And third, listen for why being intentional is so important, because the life that we want usually and almost always doesn't happen by accident. It requires intention. And one more thing before we jump in, Stephanie does mention 6 key areas of life that are important to focus on. And I want you to keep these things in mind as well as you listen. Her 6 key areas or pillars are faith, health, relationships, finances, personal growth, and vocation. And that could be a career outside of the home, or it might be that esteemed role of being mom and homemaker too. So as you listen, ask yourself, which area of my life has clarity? And which areas do I need to put some intention into right now? Let's go ahead and dive into this conversation. Stephanie, welcome to the show today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
It's great to see your sunshiny smile. It's very appropriate for our Sunshine Cafe. Tell us a little bit about the work that you do in coaching your clients.
So I am a business and life coach. I was a licensed professional counselor and worked in the counseling field for several years. And because of my history and experience of doing that, I know that people don't exist in a vacuum of just focusing on their business goals. And a lot of coaches do that. They only focus on business goals, revenue, number of clients, all those types of things. And I do that, but I also know the importance of focusing on life as well, because we are intricate human beings. There are so many facets to us. And most people find that they have an area or two in their life that tends to be a challenge for them. And they might be crushing it at work, for example, and really doing well and being successful, but they might be ignoring their health and fitness goals or their relationship goals. And their family is saying, why are you always on your phone when you're with me, or whatever it might be. And so I really want people to feel like they have more balance in their life and that they have goals that they're working on in all of those areas, so that they feel successful, not just in work, but that they're crushing it on the home front as well. And so that's what I do, is I really try to help people have more balance in all of those different areas of their life.
That's really critical because it's not going to happen on its own. It doesn't accidentally happen. It has to always be an intentional choice.
It does. And that's one of the things that helped me navigate my world as a single mom, was just being very intentional about how I was planning my time, because it's very limited.
I have been talking about vision boards for a
Have
few days
you?
now. How do you do your vision board? Do you do it digitally? Do you do a hard
Yeah,
copy? How do you do
I do
it?
it digitally. I'll pull this one down from my office right here. So this is mine for this year. It's
Oh,
digital. And so I use Pick Collage, but a lot of people use Canva because Canva has a template in it for vision boards. So I like Pick Collage because I can download the pictures from Google Images to my iPad and then put them into this collage of all these different pictures.
nice.
And then I print it and I laminate it so that it's protected. So because this is my vision board for a year. So there's one in my office, there's one in my bathroom hanging on my window, and there's one on my refrigerator. So anybody who walks into my home is going to see what's up there. And that's really good accountability for you as a person, because somebody might say, well, what does this picture mean? Tell me about that. And so one of my clients was asking me about one of my pictures the other day. And so I had to tell them about my goal and everything. But even as my daughter was growing up, the home I live in now, our bar area where she would sit for breakfast would face the refrigerator, and the vision board would be on the refrigerator always. That's just how she grew up, was seeing me do that. And one morning, it's about 5:30 one morning, she's dressed in her little private school polo and plaid skirt. She's half asleep, and she goes, "Hey, Mom, you've done that and that and that on your vision board." And she points to it, and I'm thinking to myself, "Oh, I'm such a great parent, and I'm teaching my daughter skills that she'll never learn in school. These are lifetime skills that she's learning by doing this." And then she says, "But Mom, your abs do not look like that."
I'm still working on it, honey. The year's not over.
That's what I told her. I was like, "I will, though. Just wait. They will. Okay."
Oh,
They're going to.
oh, that's great.
But just know that when you put it up, you might get the accountability from your kids and your spouse.
Well, and that accountability is good. I think we all need that as well. Putting it out there, there's like power in making it official and getting it out of our head and putting it in front of us. And I love that you have these in multiple rooms in your house so you can constantly be reminding your brain,
Yes.
that's where we're going. Come on, brain, help me get there. That's great.
Yes. And it was funny because the year before she graduated from college, she was home for the holidays, and she said, "Hey, Mom, I want to show you this picture." And I said, "Okay." And I thought, oh, it's a picture of her and her friends, or she is in social media, so I thought maybe it was something from one of her projects or something. And she pulled it up, and it was a vision board that she had made before graduating from college of the things that she wanted in that year. And it was to live in a certain city when she graduated, which is where she lives now. It was to have a different car, which she has now. It was like all of this job in social media, which she has now, but it was all of these things that she had put on the vision board. And she has watched me do that and has learned how to do that herself. And I think so many kids, I joke about they don't teach this in school, but they don't. And kids don't know how to use the power of their brain that God has given us to bring about those goals. I work with a lot of young college students as well, teaching them how to do that. And they've told me, "We don't learn this in school. I'm so glad you taught me this." I had a client, he's about 24 and he's in college. He's a little bit later than most college students because he was in a massive car wreck and it kind of delayed him. And so I helped him get clarification on what he wanted to do with his career. And he has set goals and we've worked on them. And just this past week, he landed a job in his career field. And I'm just so proud of him. But he said to me, "I couldn't have done this without you because I didn't know how to do this. No one taught me how to do this." And so we need to teach our children how to bring about these goals in their life through vision boards, through affirmations, through the power of using your senses to envision it in so many different ways so that it becomes real.
Absolutely. And if you're a parent who's never learned how to do that, you may have to learn it yourself first.
Right.
But I tell you what, there is so much power. And I know you know this. I'm preaching to the choir here. There is so much power in clarity when you know exactly where you're going and you know exactly what you want. And I think you are so right, my friend, just that how little time we spend helping ourselves and our children understand how to get clear on what you want, especially in the world that we live in where you can learn anything you want to on the internet. You can go almost go anywhere you want to, given the travel infrastructure we have. You could build any kind of business. The more unlimited our options get, I think the more paralyzed we start to feel, unless we've got a clear map and we know exactly where we're headed. So I love that you're doing those things.
I think a lot of people spend more time planning their vacation than they do their life.
Good point.
And
Excellent point.
we need to spend time planning our life. And that's what you do when you focus on those 6 areas. You plan your life.
Yeah.
And what's your role going to be in making that come to fruition. So
Yeah, so true. Because it's not going to happen, like we said, unless it's on the calendar and we take intention to put it into the plan. So, one thing I love about Stephanie and this conversation is that as a business coach, she doesn't just talk about business goals. She talks about life because we as humans cannot separate business from personal, despite all of the recommendations in the corporate world to do so. We are not one-dimensional. Everything that happens in our private life does affect our business life and vice versa. You might be crushing it at work, and maybe because you're crushing it at work, your health is suffering in some huge ways. You might have your finances in order, but your relationships are running on fumes or are falling apart completely. You might be growing spiritually, poring over God's word and pouring into everyone else. But because of that, you're neglecting your own well-being. When I sat down and created my own vision board, I intentionally looked at those 6 areas of life: faith, health, relationships, my business or vocation, finances, and personal growth. And something kind of surprising jumped out at me. I used to set goals. In fact, my vision board from last year had a lot of goals on it. But I have slowly shifted to setting a vision and using systems to help me drive toward better outcomes instead of tasks. The systems include small daily things that I can do, which I know will add up and help me become more aligned over time with exactly who God designed me to be. For me, health isn't just about that number on the scale anymore. Health now is about becoming stronger, more energetic, improving my health markers, and fully participating in life, this beautiful life that God has given me. So when I am healthy and stronger, I know I can make more of an impact for other people and for God's kingdom. And business isn't just about making money. I mean, yes, I do need to make money so I can pay the bills and sustain the things that I'm doing that God's put on my heart that I think He's asked me to do. And then, relationships, those became more intentional too. Instead of vague goals like become a better wife or stay connected to my extended family members, I started instead thinking about actions that I can take, like weekly date nights with my husband or a daily encouragement that I can give my husband to help just ignite his work day and his energy for the day, or sending out regular birthday cards to friends and family, regularly even reaching out to people by phone or text. And here's an encouragement for you. This does not need to be complicated. In fact, do not overcomplicate this whole creating a vision board thing. As Stephanie said, you can find beautiful templates on Canva or other places out there on the internet. Or you could just literally grab a piece of paper, a notebook, or the backside of that junk mail envelope you got yesterday and just write down these 6 areas: faith, health, relationships, business, which would be work or your vocation, finances, and personal growth. Then step back and just ask yourself, if I was intentionally building my life, and if I can imagine looking at this exact piece of paper at the end of May next year, I can imagine it, it's springtime, it's 1 year from now. What do I want my life to look like in these areas? I mean, just assume for a moment that you can do anything. Sometimes it's hard to brainstorm, especially if we're really busy. And so if you can't think of anything, you can try doing what I did. Give ChatGPT this prompt. I told him, from all you know about me, from all the questions I've asked you about business goals and relationships and faith and finance and personal goals and my health, what would you say might be a couple of themes for my year? Maybe give me 3 of them. And also, in each of those 6 areas I just mentioned, give me 1 or 2 reasonable goals for those areas, given what you know about me. I'll tell you what, it was a little bit scary. Chat knows me pretty darn well. Sometimes I feel like he knows me better than I do. But anyway, with Chat helping you connect the dots from all the different things you may have asked him in the recent months, you might get some interesting insights. Now, of course, you don't need to use everything Chat gives you, but it might open up your eyes to some revelations that you didn't realize. And obviously now, no life is perfect. And no matter what you think it looks like from the outside, nobody has a perfect life. And you probably won't magically make $1 million overnight either, unless you are already actively working on something that's just about ready to explode. But take some time to really think about what actions you can realistically take to start moving toward that vision that you would like to see in 1 year. The vision board is not there to create pressure or even more to-dos on your list. We have enough of those. Think of it instead as kind of like the lines on a highway. The vision board just gives you guidelines to follow so you can stay on the path and have a peaceful decision about what destination you're aiming for. It's creating a direction, and that single direction decision makes all of your future decisions a lot easier. Once you have chosen and defined your destination, you can still stop in unexpected places, take a detour, or even change routes along the way. But if you don't even know where you're headed, then you are highly unlikely to ever get there. Having a clear vision and taking action with a specific intention will change everything for you. After all, your Creator God knit you together with perfect intention. So maybe that's exactly why it's worth us spending a little time, a little intentional time, thinking about the life that we want to build. Because in this life, we are all building something. The question is, are we building what we want? And are we building it on purpose? That is the question we all need to answer. Hey friends, thanks for stopping by the Sunshine Café today. I hope this conversation about creating a vision board is, yes, encouraging, but also provides you some practical and tactical things that you can do today to start creating a more clearer vision for your future. Until next time, keep moving forward just one simple small step at a time and keep pouring that sunshine into those around you. I'll look forward to seeing you back here next week at the Sunshine Café.